welcome students to another session of the GQAzndood Gaming Academy. Welcome, it's your headmaster, GQAzndood. As always, welcome. It's 8 p.m. Tuesday night here, March 18th at the class of the Academy tonight. We're gaming with some more history, more news, and more wild nostalgia. We're talking about crazy retro gaming ads that made us want to beg our parents for new games, plus big updates on some Pokemon, Lego, Metroid Prime, and more. So I don't think Nick will be joining us tonight, but we'll cover his share also. And don't forget, we're going to be doing a more Monster Hunter with Blazing Ace Nelson with the tech, breaking down how to master the insect glaive, because we didn't have enough time last week. So if you want to launch into the air and pull out some sick aerial combos, you stay tuned and watch, because I haven't chosen that weapon yet. I've been more of a charge blade kind of guy. So grab your snacks, get comfy, and take notes in class, because it's officially classes in session. So awesome. Good to have you as always. Well, as you know, chat, and of course, if you're watching us, don't forget to drop a comment, like, subscribe. It helps with the algorithm. So it gets us pushed up to suggestions as the one of the best podcasts. As you heard it from the last time, one of the best podcasts has ever been aired on YouTube and Twitch. So if you want to help support that, make sure you drop a follow, like, and subscribe also. Okay. But we'll see if Nicholas shows up, aka the Tragically Lee, tonight. He's a little bit under the weather, but with me as always, the guy that I fought the streets with, kind of like Billy and Jimmy Lee, or Bammy and Jammy Lee, your man, the one and only Blazing Ace Nelson. What up?
How's it going, everybody? Glad to see you all here for another session. Man, this week is actually, the last few days especially have been kind of popping.
Yeah, I mean, the tonight's episode is titled March Madness, because there's a lot of titles coming out this week. And as you saw from the what do you call this, the thumbnail, we got first Berserker Kazan, right? We got Atelier Yuna, and also Assassin's Creed Shadows, if that's your thing, right? But we've always wanted like an Assassin's Creed in Japan, and actually earlier today I saw they got an 8. So we'll see. I'm not too sold on it yet. Of course, I'm one of those guys that's has to play it before to give it a rating, right? Because I think historically I've played a game where I thought it was bad, and then I played it. I was like, man, this is actually pretty good. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So it's kind of like that. But yeah, how was your week been? I know it's been kind of chilly, and like weather here has been kind of weird. So
yeah, it has. But other than that, things have been pretty solid. I mean, we've got we just recently had that update with the first Descendant introducing a new character, Serena. And Serena kind of, plays into the title of the game to begin with, because her backstory is that she is literally she was one of the first.
Oh, okay.
She's from the first generation Descendants. But, because of some pretty wild stuff that wound up happening, basically, Serena could be described as Korean waifu Captain America.
That's pretty cool. I feel like we don't have enough of that archetype, because it's always been kind of delegated to like male Captain America, not female Captain America. So I like that.
Yeah, definitely a kind of fish out of water, soldier out of time kind of character, but she's still, she's they built up this personality for her, and she's really cool. And also, her introduction also comes on the heels of, fighting your way through and resolving another one of the major character backstories as well.
Okay, so that's one of the beautiful things about the first Descendant. Everything kind of like whenever new stuff comes out, it always kind of applies to like the old stuff that's already there. And I feel like you're getting more pieces to the puzzle as you play, right? So it's rewarding you for staying committed. That's good.
Other than that, though, I've been, going through the, playing Final Fantasy VII on Steam,
saw that
with the Seventh Heaven mod, and I did some digging, and come to find out, they're working up a mod setup and mod manager just like that for Final Fantasy VIII.
Well, I'm gonna watch you play that. So that is, it's funny because I can admit it's not the best Final Fantasy, but it's my favorite one, right? And those are two different things. Two things are allowed to be true, right? Right. Not the best one, but it's my favorite one. I think it's because, like I said, I think I've said this before. They were like in a school setting, and I was in high school when that came out, so I thought it was like very relatable. So pretty. Yeah. Speaking of relatable, hello to Andre and Gorilla of Destiny on chat. What's up, guys? Welcome. And if you see anybody else there, Ace, shout them out. Feel free.
Oh, absolutely. Glad to see both of you guys here, by the way.
Of course, our prime students for usually each session.
Yep.
So last week we did a check this out on video game box art battle, East versus West, right? And this week I decided for check this out to kind of go back to the kind of we got word that Acclaim's back, right? So I kind of wanted to go back to all or some of the Acclaim ads that were out when we were kids. So I decided to go all the way back for Nintendo, Super Nintendo, the PlayStation, and PS2. Of course, we can only do so much on this channel because there's you only have 2 hours. But I decided that I figured let's share some good stuff with Acclaim and welcoming them back properly by looking at the past and some of the garbage they brought us. So, welcome, guys, to our segment called
Yo, check this out.
All right, TJ Combo, thank you so much. All right, so if you guys are new to the channel, check this out is where we kind of check out some of the weird and oddball things and cool things of the past, video game related or pop culture related. So lately we've been doing box art, and sometimes we're doing retro gaming ads. This one specifically, Acclaim retro gaming ads. So let's get started by pulling up our first ad for tonight. And Chad, I hope you guys are watching because Acclaim used to be known to publish movie games, right? Because in the 80s, action stars were kind of like the big thing in Hollywood. It wasn't Marvel, right? And so when these movies came out, they wanted to make video games with them. So who's probably one of the more notable action stars in the 80s? I would say comes down to three people: Sylvester Stallone, Van Damme, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? And somebody could argue Chuck Norris, right? And I can see that. But I said Arnold himself is probably one of the most dominating 80s action heroes.
I was thinking Stallone, Schwarzenegger, and Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis too, for sure. And pretty much anybody in the Expendables, right? That's kind of who it is. But here's our first ad for tonight from Acclaim. We're only going to be covering Acclaim games. So I don't know if you can see that already.
Oh my God.
But yeah,
yes.
So Total Recall was a game that I remember being atrocious because it was just like, one, you kind of want to like play it like the movie, right? It gave me Back to the Future vibes, and we all know Back to the Future, made by LJN, was pretty rough, right? And Total Recall was kind of rough, but not ultimately rough. Like, for example, the first screenshot you see here on the left, that's the way when you're in the room with your wife and she's trying to kill you. So they reenact that scene on that screenshot to the left there, right? The one in the middle, I think, is like when he's in the mall in the elevator scene, he's trying to duck all those people. That's kind of where they're at. And the last one, he's on Mars, right? And so if you've seen the movie and you're a fan of Arnold and Total Recall, you kind of get an idea where they're going from. But remember, get ready for the ride of your life. They stole your mind. Now get it back. So these are like, I feel like we would never see these ads now because, one, I don't think Arnold has enough time, right? Or he probably is like, and also print media is like dead, right? So it's all about the internet. But I'd like to kind of take a second here to kind of read the ads because they're kind of great. You are Quaid, aren't you? You're about to take a vacation to Mars. They're trying to kill you. It should be fun. Deadly secrets are being unlocked by your mind implant. And relaxing, only you can prevent an interplanetary catastrophe. Beware of secret agents, ninja hitmen, and robot drones attempting to destroy you. Have a safe trip. You'll never make it alive. Total Recall, the action game you'll never forget. That's great. So
now you're reading through that ad. I literally get this feeling like, I don't know why I was picturing this, but I was picturing just, you reading the normal parts and then all the sinister stuff in parentheses was being read by, I don't know, like Keith David or Ron Perlman.
Yeah. Yeah, it could also be like, the other Arnold Hauser, right? Remember in the movie?
Right?
Hello, Quaid. Hi, Hauser.
Right.
Right? You are Quaid, aren't you?
Oh my God. No, you're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. You'll never make it alive. Like it's like kind of like that. Or I was trying to find, remember the Terminator 2 arcade machine?
Mm-hmm.
Remember like Terminated, like all those sound clips, like those are really fun. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it doesn't stop there, folks. Total Recall is just the beginning of it. Another Arnold movie game coming up here. Let's show you. And this one is actually was quite popular because it was on a variety of platforms. So check it out. So the True Lies movie, a James Cameron film, by the way, was out on the Super Nintendo, Genesis, Game Boy, and Game Gear. So that generation of console and handheld had this game for it. So I just remember when a game came out on everything, that was like a AAA title back then.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, it was one of those things where, when a game came out on everything, number one, you knew it was a AAA title, and number two, it pretty much became standard operating procedure that, it wasn't going to play on the handhelds as it was on the home consoles, which is all the more reason why people would actually double dip.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's like one of the benefits of the handheld at that generation was that like the ones on the handheld were like different than the ones in the console. So it was like playing another game, right? So you weren't like, so now I feel like it's a battle of like hardware where like, oh, it's just the most powerful on PS5, so I'm only gonna play it on PS5. But back then it was like sometimes even the Genesis and the Super Nintendo version, I'm looking at you, Jurassic Park, were quite different. So even though if you had it on Super Nintendo, you were like, man, I want to play the Genesis version because it's so different than the Super one, right? So I thought that was cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. By the way, Shark Punch, totally agree.
I do too.
We all miss Acclaim.
Yeah, and I'm glad they're being so open about like coming back and being an indie publisher and kind of like acknowledging the guy that the community manager already dropped Tiger Heli as like a quote. So that was super cool. Like to me, that person did their homework sometime, at least at some point, right?
Yeah.
So I read a pamphlet or something, instead of just going out there like that. All right, so the next one, you'll find it super familiar because we quote it all the time on the show. And Ace actually made a great suggestion of this game coming back with a vengeance. And then I'm not talking about Die Hard. All right, so we're talking about Super Smash TV. And if you guys know what I'm talking about, let's go. All right, because if you knew anything about this game,
I'd buy that for $1.
Absolutely, because
I love it.
all that it comes from the same game. So
yeah, you had to hit us with the 3-hit combo, didn't you?
Yeah, the announcer is its own character in this game. And the funny part about it is he was the villain. Because you guys you're fighting for your life for prize and money, right? So I feel like this, like you said, this game could come back with the vengeance, with the participation of chat, with the participation of streamers and their audiences, because there's already games like that out there already. So Vampire Survivors has it, which is perfect, right? Dead Cells has that, and I feel like chat and like the modern technology can make Smash TV Super Smash streaming.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Super Smash streaming would be like the what do you call this? The game you would play on Twitch.
No. Super Smash.tv.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying right there. And can you just imagine like you're the streamer, right? You're playing your game, and then now chat, just anybody that comes watches your stream as you're playing this game can dictate like which direction, like doors open, which bad guys pop out, right? I think that's the next level of gaming experience, bringing like the gamer to the streamer to the audience, connecting them together. Super cool idea. So awesome, dude. We need to get that to Acclaim's hands. We need to talk to them right now and share that. That's a great idea. So yeah, I mean, hey, that wouldn't hurt to tweet that guy back, you know.
Right.
I'll also send him this clip or whatever, whatever works.
What?
But yeah,
Clip
if you
this, send it to him.
chat, if you never played this game, this was a twin stick shooter, one of the OG twin stick shooters, because in the arcade there was no shoot button; it was just another stick, right? The first one was technically Ikari Warriors, but it was like 1.5 twin stick shooter. But this is the official first one, where the left stick where you moved your guy, and the right stick is the direction that you shot, right? So I think this was created by Midway in the arcade, but then later on brought to Acclaim by the home version. So
and that was usually Acclaim's MO. You know, at the very least, you know, during the, I guess we would call that the second generation with the 16-bit generation with the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. You know, whatever games that Midway was developing, you know, and had released in the arcades, it was Acclaim that was their go-to home console publisher.
You're right. And then I think later on, like Flying Edge started joining in there as well. They started doing NBA Jam and like and some other like Mortal Kombat games, I think, too, on some systems. So yeah, there was a bunch of like collaboration. So, but yeah, this game right here, this is gonna be awesome. Like I feel like this is a good way for Acclaim to come back even better.
Oh, and Shark Punch with the assist. The link that he just posted in the chat leads to a tweet from Acclaim saying it's time for a poll. What kind of video game should Acclaim bring to life? Tell us in the comments and let's see what the gaming community wants.
There you go. Perfect.
Super Smash.tv.
There you go, guys. Make your voices heard. I mean, I think that honestly it's such a great idea. I'm surprised they haven't thought of it, right? But I think most
you know what they say, the closed mouth don't get fed. Click that link, let them know.
That is true. Now, speaking of getting stuff done, the next game that we have on the screen here, I don't know if a lot of people will notice this game because this is one of the more obscure fighting games that came out on PlayStation and for the Saturn. So, and during that time, fighting games were kind of jank. I would say a lot of the games were jank for fighting games, especially like that was that Magic the Gathering one. There was that Terakasi one from Star Wars, right?
There's War Gods.
Yep. So there's a bunch of just jank all over the place, and this was no different. Has anyone played Killing Zone on the PlayStation? I think I played this like for 30 seconds while testing out a system, right? And it was, I think I played this game twice. That's like everybody's like comment. And a matter of fact, on the screen here, it should say Killing Zone for PlayStation. I think I played this game twice. That's what but yeah, it looks like there's like minotaurs and monsters. It's just called Battle Monsters for Saturn, right? So very interesting. Killing Zone for PlayStation or Battle Monsters for the Saturn, right? So
it kind of makes me wonder now. This is actually the same game that they're advertising, right? So they literally, I guess, went the Japanese route and gave it two different names for two different platforms.
Well, yeah, and I think it's like it had to do with like contracts, like Naxat Soft. Like I didn't really jump into this too much, right? But they were probably it almost feels like they're doing a 2-for-1, like they were trying to sell their company's games, right? Versus like a game for a platform, right? So what is this? In October 18, 2018, the game's rights were acquired by Canadian production company Liquid Media Group, along with other titles owned by Acclaim Entertainment. So there you go. But yeah, I feel like, you know, hey, these are the games we made, but this one's for the Saturn, this one's for PlayStation, right? Published by Acclaim. Right, so it's kind of like a 2-for-1 ad in my opinion. Because if you look at the screen, like the life bar is a little bit different, right? And I think this is a 2D fighter on the left, and the one on the right is a 3D fighter. So that's a little fun one.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's an unconventional take, right, on the way they like did the advertisement. Now, for some reason, I think Acclaim is just a huge fan of the word killing, because this next game also has the word killing in it. and this one is called Killing Time, which is, of course, a first-person shooter. If you see on the screen here, and it almost is like a mixture of like Wolfenstein and Clockwork or Clock Tower. It says here, mystery, mayhem, pure terror, a mansion of lost souls holds secrets of the Manticus Island. Only quick wits can unlock the paranormal mysteries. Only a quick trigger finger can keep you alive. First person shooting with a brain, puzzle solving labyrinth with an attitude. Time is not on your side. Right? Like, I don't remember this game at all. Honestly, like in the PlayStation and Saturn era, and I don't know about you, Ace, but like I kind of forgotten about Acclaim. Like their glory days was literally like the Super Nintendo Genesis era.
Yeah, and the PlayStation and Saturn era, like for me, Acclaim still had something of a presence because, you know, Mortal Kombat 4, MK Mythology, Sub-Zero, Trilogy, you know, NBA Jam, but otherwise, yeah, Acclaim and Midway I think they were slowly kind of like, you know, hitting the tail end, or getting pretty close to hitting the tail end of their heyday.
They weren't really getting a lot of titles that caught a lot of attention for the good reasons, right? So, and I think, like, honestly, I think they've always been a jank publisher at the time, but like on a hardware like a Genesis or Super Nintendo, it was harder for it to be like as janky in comparison to like a 3D game, right? Because now other people are doing it much better than they are, right? And so on. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what Acclaim's like claim to fame, right? So it's that's a dad joke right there for you. But the next one that I'll show, I think everyone here, especially Ace, will appreciate a little bit more, just because they got a little bit of help from their cousins at Taito.
Yes.
So this ad actually just slaps. And I think I was doing a little bit of citation on this. This was in a GamePro magazine, which is like pretty obvious. Like I can totally see this on the GamePro magazine. But yeah, like anime cover, super, what do you call it? Super dynamic, right? The angle is like they're falling from the sky. Psychic force, mind-blowing, mid-air 3D fighting. Definitely, like if you heard that, a fighting game in the air, that's crazy, right? So, and I love the feature vomit on the right. 8 psychic masters of fire, time, light, and gravity enter the mid-air Kekai arena for a flying 3D maelstrom of death-dealing psychic blasts and close-quarter killer combos. Psychic force, a true mind-blowing experience. So, it's good. Like as an ad in itself, it's good.
Now, oddly enough, though, I didn't get the chance to play Psychic Force on the PlayStation, but I did own 2012 on the Dreamcast.
Oh, really? I'm actually looking right now if I own this game because I feel like it was one of those like inexpensive fighting games. Let's see. But
yeah, no, actually getting the chance to sit down and play 2012 though, it's like, yeah, I was kind of kicking myself that I missed it on the PlayStation. Now I might find other ways to acquire it. So that way I'll at the very least have it on hand to give it a try for myself, much like I did with the original Dynasty Warriors fighting game. It's like, you know what? Let me just snatch this up real quick.
All right. I don't think I have Psychic Force, but I did find this from the last episode. Gundam Battle.
Yes. Wealth and glory to the winner.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Gundam Battle us all. That's what he used to say that. Also, Blue, welcome right in time for the next ad that I'm going to show you because I thought of you when I picked this one out, right? And I don't know. What do you think it is, chat? But yeah, we listen. We pay attention to what you like. Throw it on the screen right now.
And presto.
There we go. Pretty dark, right? Pretty minimalistic. And also mysterious, right?
But definitely sets the tone.
Yeah, and I think this is more of a promotional ad to like it's a poster to sell like to the distributor, like buy our copies of Shadow Man versus like to the public, because there's nothing talking about the game. There's nothing like features like on the screen or anything like that. But yeah, it was. I thought it was like one of the more unique Acclaim ads out there. So I thought that was super cool. We went from Arnold Schwarzenegger to Shadow Man and Psychic Force. We were all over the place. These guys pretty much said, "We'll do it. Just give it to us."
Pretty much.
Yeah, and I love that, and I love that about them. So, you used to watch your dad play this game. Awesome, man. Awesome. And I think I have a copy of Shadow Man here somewhere. It's a very inexpensive game, also very underrated. So, if you guys, and I think they just remastered it, so perfect timing to go check it out. So. Anything else, Mace?
Like the last time I remember actually sitting down and playing Shadow Man was on the N64.
Oh gosh, yeah. PS2 for me for sure. I think it was PS. Yeah, I think it was PS2. It might have been the sequel though that I played, right? Because wasn't Shadow Man on PlayStation 1 also?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it might have been the sequel that I played. I thought it was unique. There's not a lot of games out there that really do voodoo, right? And I thought that was cool that like we had something like that, and hopefully more down the road, because I think that would be a good topic for a scary game. Imagine like, and I think they're already doing this. Imagine a horror game in the bayou, right, bruh? Like that'd be super cool, and it's different, right?
It is.
Shark Punch with the quote or with the link there, not link the remaster is $6 on Steam. The drop. I love it. PC Remaster adds a couple of levels and based on the not fucked up N64 game.
There we go.
Well, that is a good way to end. Yo, check this out.
I'd buy that for $1.
Because it's $6. Yeah. All right. Awesome. TJ Combo, thanks for taking us out of there. Well, as always, guys, it is time for the next segment. Yours and my favorite this week in gaming history. Ooh, man, still good. You're episode 24 and it's still good. Also, is any guesses on that intro song we played today?
Oh, I let's just say that was like that was a no-brainer for me. That was okay. I'm not going to say anything until we get some responses from the rest of the class.
All right, I did see your like ears perked when the music started playing. You're like, huh, all right. All right. So this week in gaming history, guys, let's get to it. All right, first one is March 16. Mutation Nation on the Neo Geo in 1992 in Japan. Ace, have you ever heard of Mutation Nation?
I haven't had the chance to play it though.
Yeah, I mean, as a beat 'em up fan, like as I am, also dude in the middle, totally looking like Adam from Streets of Rage. Just to realize that this was, I would say, if Streets of Rage and Alien Storm had a baby, we'd have Mutation Nation. Have you played Alien Storm, the other beat 'em up? Mm-hmm. Okay, right. So like, if those two just had a baby and then like combined bits. Right, 16-bit. Now you got a Neo Geo game called Mutation Nation. So check it out if you're a beat 'em up fan. It's a nice 80s romp of like Double Dragon street fighting with a mixture of 80s like aliens and more in sci-fi. So it's super fun. All right, other games to come out today on the 16th: Scramble on the arcade in 1981. No, not Scrabble. I thought it was Scrabble first, but Scramble is this like kind of like arcade game that was kind of like Defender, kind of like this Atari-ish. I'd say Defender is probably the best game to quote for this one. Another game that came out was Target Earth on the Genesis in 1990 in Japan. Now, Target Earth is the actual first game in the Assault Suit Lanos category,
really?
aka Cyberdator, right? So a lot of people don't know that, but Target Earth was the first mainline game for Assault Suit Lanos, and the other one too, I forgot what it was called.
Assault Suits Vulcan.
Yeah, it's come out in Japan. All right. Also, the I don't know if it's dead now, but EverQuest came on the PC in 1999. Is that still going around? You guys know?
I think at least EverQuest 2 is still going.
Okay, yeah, 2 I believe, 1 probably dead. DOA. Final Fantasy 12 on the PS2 came out in Japan. One of the more better Final Fantasy games, in my opinion. God of War 3 on the PS3 2010. Command and Conquer 4 Tiberium Twilight on the PC 2010. Metro 2033 on a PC 360 2010, and Anno Mutationum on PS4 on 2022 in Japan. So, good range of games for that on that day. I'm always curious, like, did all the fighting games come out this day? But this game was like beat 'em up, MMO, shmup, first person shooter, Metroidvania, and RTS.
It's a good reminder of just the sheer variety that we have access to, or the sheer variety of games that's currently sitting in our backlogs.
Facts. Yeah, and here's the thing too. Like when somebody always tells me that they're bored and have nothing to play, I instantly go, "Really? Have you seen this week in gaming history? Look at all the choices you got." I can't imagine everyone has played every game on this list, right? So check it out. And yeah, that's part of it. Yo, check it out. All right, next one on the 17th. Let's go. All right. I wish Nick was here because this was the game I wanted him to talk about. Descent on the PC came out on March 17, 1995. I owned this box myself, and it was great. The only issue is if you have like vertigo, it is rough.
You're in trouble.
You're in trouble because sometimes you don't know which way is up in this game, right? You're like in a labyrinth as a spaceship, and you're like up, down, all around, and that was unheard of back then in 1995 because everything ran on the 2D plane, right? So my experience with Descent, I think like I would play it for like 30 minutes and I'd like instantly get dizzy, so I'd have to play it on like 30-minute increments. I don't know about you, Ace. How did you do this?
I pretty much did it, because one of my buddies in 6th grade had it, so I would go over to his place and over the weekend, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't play Descent in, long stretches, but, Descent was right there on the lineup with stuff like Rise of the Triad and Wolfenstein and, Shadow Warrior and Redneck's Rampage, all the awesome, all the awesome shooters for PC. So, I get in a little bit of time on Descent, and then, once I hit a point where I was like, okay, I need to switch to something else, it was usually switching over to either Rise of the Triad or FX Fighter.
Oh my gosh, FX Fighter, the real game of Rise of the Robots,
which to this day still has one of the dopest soundtracks.
FX Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's what like really kept me playing the game. Plus, it was like 3D, like the 3D models was like, I think I wasn't like, it was probably because we weren't able to play Virtual Fighter at home.
Pretty much.
Yeah, we were like, oh, this is all we got, FX Fighter, right? So I'm funny that you bring that up because I did have that game also. Other games I also didn't have that day was Castlevania Bloodlines on the US release in the Genesis in 1994. Super cool game. Karnov's Revenge in the arcade in 1994 in Japan. In America, in the US, it's called Fighter's Destiny Dynamite, I believe. So just keep that in mind. Legend of Legaia, we've talked about this, but the Japanese release on the PlayStation in 1999. Battlefield Hardline came out on everything in 2015. As we talked about, True Lies gets released on every platform. Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance on the Xbox Series X in 2021. And I think you guys should go pick this up. Neo Geo Pocket Color Selection Volume 1 on the Switch in 2021. Not a lot, but a lot of good. So I know we've already talked about Legend of Legaia. I mean, was this one of those games I think like should get a remake, a remaster? What do you think?
Without question. Like this is definitely another one that at the very least could do with, a HD remaster, both Legend of Legaia and Legaia 2 Dual Saga.
Yeah, and I think a collection. I honestly like, for example, like they just released Suikoden 1 and 2 HD, right?
Mm-hmm.
Releasing a collection to feel out the temperature of people are going to buy this, right, should help you introduce whether they should make like a new mainline title for it. right? One, you get nostalgic from, oh man, I want to get this game again, right? Especially I don't want to pay $200 for Suikoden 2, right? So you get that, and then they go, oh, how much did it sell? How did it do? Because it shows you the interest of the actual gamers, and then they can go, wow, surprisingly, it sold pretty well than we thought. Maybe we should make a Suikoden, a next one.
Not just from the previous player base of the game, but also the new player base that's been introduced.
Correct. Yeah, and I think that's, and also like, I think it would help if, and it's probably because of shows like us, if a lot of people knew, or a lot of future gamers that aren't into retro, like us, if they knew that like Suikoden 2, to get a hard copy, you're gonna have to drop $200 down for that. They would welcome a remaster for $60 for 1 and 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, they need to know these like pop culture topics and like how much things are worth. So this way they can make an educated decision to say, because sometimes if you see Suikoden 1 and 2, you're probably like, nah, this ain't worth $60. It's just a 2D, right? The graphics don't look that good, right? So because like it could be a mobile game to them. It's a different mentality we have these days. But like if you want to get a hard copy of a game, right, that's not $200 and have to get another system for it, Suikoden 2 on your modern day console, or just download it, should give you a better feeling of buying a $60 game that is worth $200, right? So that's a lesson right there for you guys as well. Well, awesome. All right. Well, hoping Tragic is feeling a little bit better, but we'll move on to the 18th for Bare Knuckle 3. I think tonight was Tragic's night. I'm pulling up all these Sega games and games that he liked, and he's not here. That's all right. He's got to get better soon. All right, so Bare Knuckle 3, aka the Streets of Rage 3, came out on the Genesis in 1994. The Final Fight killer, or you know, the competitor at the time. We always say killer because it's the competitor, right? They're always trying to one up each other. Honestly, I think Streets of Rage 1 because it had co-op. Because it wasn't until Final Fight 2, right, till we got co-op in Final Fight, because the first one was single player.
No, the first one was the first one was multiplayer.
Are you sure?
maybe not on Super NES.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean on Super Nintendo. We're talking about home console here, right? Because here's the question: did Bare Knuckle come out in the arcades?
I don't
see, we're like two different things, right? If it came out, I know Final Fight was amazing in the arcades. I would love to have a Final Fight machine, right? But when we got home back to our homes, and
you're right. Because arcade ports of games, usually wound up getting nerfed in certain ways in order to actually have space on the cartridge for the game.
And not only that, we didn't have Guy.
That's right.
Right, we only had Cody and Hagar, and Guy was just like not there, and then was later released, and then they took away Cody and made its own version of Final Fight Guy, which could only be bought at like Blockbusters, which is weird. It was so weird.
It was a whole thing.
Yeah, making it one of the rarest games in the Super Nintendo library. So. Yeah. Other games that came out that day on the 18th, The Goonies 2 on the NES in 1987 in Japan, Metal Slug X in the arcade in 1999, Batman Dark Tomorrow on the Xbox in 2003, Clock Tower 3 on the PS2 in 2003, Armored Core Nexus on the PS2 in 2004 in Japan, Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures on the GameCube in 2004 in Japan, Rainbow Six Vegas 2 came out on PS3 and 360 in 2008. Another Yakuza game, number 4, came out on PS3 in 2010 in Japan. Final Fantasy X and 10-2 HD Remaster on the PS3 and Vita in 2014. Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes came out on everything. That was pretty much the intro to the real game. Paragon on the PS4 in 2006, and Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z on the PS3 360 in 2014. Okay, so Armored Core is on this list again. Nexus, where does this fall in the whole timeline of things?
Nexus is pretty much, let's see, because Nexus is one of the games that was released after Armored Core 3. So, this was between this was in like the later portions of the Armored Core 3 releases, leading up to Ninebreaker and Last Raven.
Okay.
Nexus, was kind of that starting point where Armored Core had started moving away from its traditional control scheme and more towards the control scheme that eventually wound up being utilized in Dark Souls and Demon Souls.
Oh, really? Like the R1, R2?
Mm-hmm.
Really? He goes that far back, huh? I didn't know that.
Yep.
Huh. Also,
But,
go ahead.
But Nexus was also still one of the Armored Core 3 adjacent games that was pushing the story, pushing the narrative from 3 forward a little bit further. So it was Armored Core 3, Silent Line, then you had Nexus, and then the last couple, Last Raven and Ninebreaker could technically be seen as more spin-offs as opposed to story expansions.
Okay. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to the cover because this cover goes hard.
Oh God, yes.
Like, I feel like if this cover came out now, it'd still be relevant. Like, it's a really cool cover.
There was one other game that is celebrating its anniversary today, I believe.
Today?
If not today, then I believe it was yesterday. But 3 years going now, released back in 2022. Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin.
The Final Fantasy 1 remake. That's what people would say that. Yeah, and I think that game, like, people were very confused on that game. And by good reason, because you're literally appealing to Final Fantasy fans to play a Souls-like game, and that's like not in their wheelhouse, right? Like let me elaborate. If I only played turn-based RPGs forever because I only played Final Fantasy, right? And then I see Final Fantasy Stranger of Paradise, and then I read everywhere that it's a remake of the first game. I go, wow, that's pretty cool. Like, I want to play a remake of the first game. And you're like, wow, this is an action game, and it's hard. Yes, I probably would either go, hey, this sucks, or hey, this is actually different. I kind of like it. Like it's one of 50%. Right. So I think it's cool that they're branching off to other things. Of course, they're following the trend. The Souls trend as is, right? The Neo trend, Sekiro trend. But yeah, just keep in mind, gamers, when you're seeing new stuff of your favorite IPs, sometimes they make him in the shadow of what the trend is currently. So
right. And yeah, Stranger of Paradise is a prequel to Final Fantasy 1.
There you go. Even better. And then that was a lot. That was like very confusing to like. See, here's the thing. I haven't played it story wise yet. I played the demo, right? But like, and I think that's good because you're not revealing anything, and you're just revealing enough to make those like claims, like I did, right? And then when you actually play, you're like, oh shit, this is totally different. I love that. It's more like, because now you have to play it to understand what's happening, right? And that's the whole part of the experience, not to just be spoiled, is to experience it yourself. So awesome. All right, I wanted to bring up Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas 2, and I know Tragic wanted to do that as well. And the reason for this is because this was technically the last Tom Clancy Rainbow Six game before Siege came out, and it's nothing like Siege, right? Let me see if I can get the box art here for you guys. But this was a co-op strategy game, a co-op action game with a hint of strategy in it, right? And arguably one of the better third-person shooters because it had a level of strategy that if you played SWAT on a Nintendo, gosh, if you played SWAT on the Nintendo, props to you. Tap yourself on the shoulder. You've played one of the hardest, most obscure games on the Nintendo. But if you know what I'm talking about, you'll know exactly why I'm using that example. Because in the game SWAT on the Nintendo, you would have to enter a building from different sides of a building, whether you're rappelling through a window, going through the front door, going from the rooftop. And Rainbow Six Vegas 2 did that, with a ham sandwich. It's like all that you did in SWAT on a Nintendo, but like extrapolate it, right? And also it had a really enthralling storyline, believe it or not. Like if you're watching like a movie, like The Rock, right? With Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage, it had that sense of urgency, right? And then for some reason, they just never finished it. There was supposed to be a Rainbow Six Vegas The Patriots or something like that, and never happened. They went with Siege instead, and we never got closure. So hopefully one day, Ubisoft, I know you guys are struggling right now, but if you guys release Rainbow Six Vegas 3 or some sort sequel to this to finish up the game, I think that would be awesome. It would make a lot of people happy, but I know you guys are kind of like involved with Siege right now, so I get it. Nick, we can only do our best, my friend. Let's see here. So the other game I wanted to shortly shout out, Paragon on the PS4. That was a lane-based first-person shooter. Like, what is that? There's another one like this. Battleborn was one of them. Smite. Smite, right? So Paragon was the one that was made by like Epic Games, and they shut it down. And I think they brought it back recently. But it was like the characters looked really cool, but like there was no player base. Like nobody knew what it was. Clearly, a lot of people are going, "Huh?" right now, because that's why they had to shut it off. So awesome. All right, go move over to the 19th. Everybody knows this game, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire on the Game Boy Advance in 2003. What was the other one? Emerald, right?
Yeah. I really
was there another one?
Yeah, it was Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald.
Okay, Emerald was like the yellow. It was like the third one, right? So,
yeah.
But yes, you guys have a Game Boy Advance. I'm sure you've played a Pokemon game on it or some way or form, or a OG Game Boy game on it because it was backwards compatible. Super cool. Did you ever play Pokemon games, Ace?
Like the first one that I really sat down and got really invested in was Pokemon Y.
Why? Okay. Yeah, I think I did the same thing on a 3DS. But before that, I knew of Pokemon and I knew how popular it was. But like when you have a lot of games, man, it's hard to go back and just take your time and look at your to play versus like, oh, I missed this out from years ago, right? So it's rough. You got to make those tough choices in life. But yeah, other games that came out on the 19th, Cyber Spin on the Super Nintendo in 1992 in Japan. Now, if I asked you what kind of game is Cyber Spin, what kind of game do you think it is?
I would think something like Windjammers.
You're right. Yeah, I would say that. It is a racing game. Yeah, it's very much like Super Sprint, like futuristic Super Sprint / Chase HQ, right? Okay. Or Rad Racer. Came out on the Super Nintendo in 1992 in Japan. Now, if I asked you what kind of game Biometal was, what would you say it was?
Definitely thinking more like a mech shooter.
Okay, and it was indeed a shmup. I think horizontal, not vertical. Mech shooter. It was featuring like bioorganic components for your ship, so it's pretty cool. Came out on Super Nintendo in 1993 in Japan. The legendary Super Metroid, the OG, the progenitor of Metroidvania, came out on the SNES in 1994 in Japan. Real Bout Fatal Fury 2 in the arcade in 1998. Armored Core for Answer, another Armored Core game showing up on the list here on the PS3 360 in Japan in 2008. Gears of War Judgment, the offshoot on 360 in 2013. My return to Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate on the Wii U and 3DS in 2013. A personal favorite of mine, Fate Extella Link, came out on everything in 2019. And Resident Evil 3 came out on the PC, PS4, Xbox One in 2020. And I believe that was the remake. Yeah. So, but yeah, Real Bout Fatal Fury 2 was the first one ever. The first one was called King of Fighters Fatal Fury, right? Mm-hmm. Or Fatal Fury, the King of Fighters.
Yeah.
So, do you know the history why they call it Real Bout? Like, why the change?
I believe the Real Bout games were supposed to be like retellings of Fatal Fury, the King of Fighters, Fatal Fury 2, and Fatal Fury 3, Road to the Final Victory.
Oh, okay, so they have their own subtitles. Gotcha.
Yep. Now, with Real Bout Fatal Fury 2, that right there was the game that introduced quite literally, like, if this character was in more games as his own character, he would literally be one of my favorites up there with Terry, that being the Native American boxer Rick Stroud.
Rick Stroud. You know, for some reason, it's like the name Miguel kept coming in my head, but I knew he was a boxer. Yeah, but Rick Stroud, I do recall he's the overalls guy, right?
No, that's Franco Bash.
Okay, maybe that's what I was thinking about. Michael Bash. I like Michael Bash.
Franco, aka Mario.
That's right. That's right.
But no, Rick is actually the character that Vanessa got a couple of her moves from.
What's his name? Rick
Stroud.
Stroud. Fatal Fury. Oh yeah, white hair guy. Yeah, this guy. So I get this guy confused with the guy in Korea, the Taekwondo guy from Korea that replaced Kim for one of the KOF teams. I mean, he had black hair, but he had the same like pants. Chad, if you guys know what I'm talking about, you know exactly what I'm talking about because their character design is blue and white. Super cool. Yeah, this character is pretty cool actually. I wonder if that'd be cool if he shows up in Garo.
Yeah, 2. I mean, while the Real Bout games were initially supposed to be like remakes of the first 3, like the way everything was built out, Real Bout 2 eventually wound up being recognized as more like, the last game in the Fatal Fury series before, moving over to Mark of the Wolves.
Oh, okay. It's like that was the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. All right. No, and man, graphically still holds up.
Oh God, yes.
SNK was beyond its game back in the day. So I didn't. This is why I think like they should have just went. KOF 13 was the pinnacle of 2D sprites, and I feel like if they just picked that direction, they would have had a niche that nobody had. Right, the hybrid of like 2D and 3D. But hey, don't get me wrong, their games look good now, right? But
and it feels like they're definitely going that direction with City of the Wolves.
Yeah, for sure. And I love like the pop art style in City of the Wolves. Like, it's super cool. Like their art direction in City of the Wolves is fantastic. No complaints there for sure. All right, you might complain that on the 20th, Tekken 3 came out in 1997 because it's not your favorite Tekken game, but no one can dispute that this is probably where Tekken really started to blow up. 1 and 2 was like, all right. 2 was definitely better than 1, but 3 is what got everybody playing. Everybody and their grandmother was playing Tekken 3, and if they weren't playing Tekken 3, they were playing Tekken Tag Tournament, right? Came out around the same time. So also a great way to introduce the new batch of like characters, because Soul Calibur 5 did not do that. It was rough. And I think like the reason for this was there was story of why these new characters were in the game. Like Jin is the son of Jun and Kazuya, right? That's why Kazuya's missing, Jun's missing, right? And then these other characters fall in together. They all have ties to each other, right? But like I feel like in Soul Calibur 5, they were just thrown in there, and we were like, okay, so they're just the kids. Like, well, what happened to the parents?
Right?
Like they're just not there. What happened? So I saw that correlation when that came out, but I was like, there was something missing, and I think this is why people were upset, because they love characters, they fall in love with their characters, and they're missing, and they get replaced by these like second grade. We have Killik at home. Like it's rough, so you got to explain it to them why they're missing, and maybe have them as an echo character, right? So everyone's happy. Anyway, Tekken 3 in the arcade in 1997. Ace, what's your first memory of Tekken 3?
Oh, my first memory of it was definitely playing it in the arcades. Like the first time I saw Jin, I was like, "Ooh, wait a minute, who this?
This guy's cool."
It's like this guy's cool. Yeah. Where's my mains? And then I saw Forest Law, and I'm like, okay, I'm in.
We're back.
Let's go.
And you're like, wait a minute, that's not Marshall though. That's his son, right? Like, did you ever like, oh, that's weird, Like, and that's kind of.
And then literally months later, we get Tekken 3 on the PlayStation, and it comes with all the extra goodies, and I'm sitting there like, thank you, Namco.
And I think honestly, this was the era when Namco was like Value City. Like they literally had more features and modes in their home version than the arcade, making you happy that you bought it for the home console versus the era before that in the 80s and 90s, in the early 90s, where the games at the console at home were like the nerfed titles. Like we talked about, Final Fight had no no multiplayer, no co-op, right?
No multiplayer,
This era,
guy.
Yeah, this era of developers and publishers, they were making sure that when you bought a game and you brought it home from the arcade, it was way better than it was in the arcade. Thus, I think helps killing the arcade scene, to be honest with you, But hey, that's value to the consumer. I think that's still great, no matter what. But that's not true because the arcade scene in Japan is still popping, right? So it's a cultural thing. All right, other games that come out on the 20th, Fantasy Zone on the arcade in 1986 in Japan, Shining Force on the Genesis in 1992 in Japan. Probably like their flagship like tactics game, right? The legendary, and I mean legendary, Castlevania Symphony of the Night on the PlayStation in 1997 in Japan. Warriors of Might and Magic on the PS2 in 2001. Speaking of jank fighting games, Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories in the PlayStation in 2002. Legacy of Kain Blood Omen 2 on the Xbox in 2002. Armored Core V or 5 came out on the PS3 and 360 in 2012. Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City on the PS3 360 in 2012. Warriors Orochi's 3 on the PS3 in 2012, Samurai Warriors 4 on the PS3 Vita in 2014 in Japan, DOA Extreme 3 Scarlet on the Switch PS4 in 2019 Japan, Doom Eternal on the Xbox One in 2020, and Animal Crossing New Horizons on the Switch in 2020, hence the memes. Which one do you play? That was quite a loaded day. All right, so you got Castlevania on there. What do you got?
Now, Castlevania, like that, I would say much like with Onimusha 3 and Brave Fencer Musashi and Warframe and Monster Hunter, Castlevania Symphony of the Night is definitely one of those games that, pretty much helped make my Twitch channel. Like that was the game where I sat down, I played through it from start to finish on stream, and then went back and actually put together, edited, recorded, and posted a review for Castlevania. It's kind of like, my initial, I guess you could call it my initial proof of concept for what the backlog is supposed to be.
All right, so I'm trying to grab all the copies of the games that I have. Tekken 3 right here for $9.50, guys. Value right there with the foil first edition cover right there for you. Also, I really wanted this game only for the God cards. Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, as you can see right there, comes with the God cards. I don't think the God cards are in here anymore because they're in display in my living room, right? Super cool. And I'm going to see if I have a black label copy of Castlevania real quick.
But yeah, like again with when we were talking about Super Metroid on the other day, being one of the progenitors of the Metroidvania, or what eventually came to be known as the action exploration genre. Castlevania Symphony of the Night is the other half of that equation. Still a killer game to this day, still a classic, great controls, great soundtrack. I mean, it's so memorable that the original voice of Alucard came back to voice the librarian in Bloodstained.
I love that. Also, here it is. I found the original black cover for Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Not the greatest hits, the OG black cover, the first print. So, yeah, this is a gem.
And no matter what, the game that I see that is like inexorably tied to Castlevania Symphony of the Night, largely because I would always go between playing those two. If it wasn't Castlevania Symphony of the Night, I'd be swapping over to play Einhander.
Mine was Tenchu for some reason. I think I just remember playing that. But also, here it is. They're doing cross-promotioning on Metal Gear Solid, coming soon.
That's the good stuff.
Right? So, man, this was like when they had ads for other games that they were making, right? So super cool. All right, fantastic. I do have a copy of Dead or Alive 3 Scarlet here somewhere, but I will not look for that. I was actually playing that with that Asian kid not too long ago, talking about it. Just was bonding it up, man to man.
Yep.
All right, the 21st. Oh, look, it is the release of the Game Boy Advance in 2001, right? And I wanted to kind of show you what the ad was for this game, for this thing, for Toys R Us, because Toys R Us is a rarity, just like Blockbuster. But look at that. Try it before you buy it. Test drive the Game Boy Advance at the R Zone in Toys R Us. This is why your neck hurt, because you're always looking up playing 64. Yep. Guys, come on. You guys know you guys did that at Toys R Us.
Oh, yeah.
I got
hours just
like you want to look around the store, but you're like, hey, I just want to play this, you're just gonna hang out here. Other games that came out that day for the release of Game Boy Advance, I'll just name a few: Mega Man Battle Network, Super Mario Advance, of course, because why would you not, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Dungeon Dice Monsters. Pretty cool. All right, so chat, if you guys did you guys buy a Game Boy Advance day one, or did you wait for the SP, or were you just not up your alley? So I did not own one until way later in life, so that's my story behind that. But I'll name off some of the other stuff that came out on the 21st. Phantasy Star 2 on the Genesis, 1989 in Japan. Kirby Superstar Super Nintendo, 1996 in Japan. Pokemon Snap on the N64 in 1999 in Japan. All right. We got Counter-Strike Condition Zero on the PC in 2004. Time Splitters Future Perfect coming out on everything, PS2, Xbox, GameCube, 2005. And Elder Scrolls Oblivion came out on everything in 2006. Suikoden 5, speaking of Suikoden 5, or Suikoden right there in the PS2 in 2006. Warriors Orochi, I have a story about that too, Ace. PS2 in 2007 in Japan. Infamous Second Son on the PS4 on 2014. Mass Effect Andromeda came out on everything in 2017. And Valkyria Chronicles on the PS4 in 2018 in Japan. All right, what you got for Warriors Orochi, the OG, the original?
Oof. This is another one that takes me back to my time on the Koei Warriors forums. And again, this is one of those where it's like, what is this? I saw the announcement for the game and it's like, okay, what is this Musou Orochi thing? What are we talking about here? And then I start seeing some of the articles and then I start seeing the character list come up and it's like, okay, so it sounds like it's another Dynasty Warriors, because this is, hot off of the heels of Dynasty Warriors 5. I see Shu characters listed. I see Wu characters listed. I see Wei characters listed. And then all of a sudden, Yukimura Sanada, Katsuhana, and I'm like,
yep.
Y'all are telling me they're in the same game now? I had to jump on the PlayStation and cop that bad boy.
It reminded me of the time where all the Power Rangers showed up, right? And they were like, it's a reunion, and you're like, whoa. But yeah, Warriors Orochi, I had the same feeling as you. Are you saying Japan and China Musou games in the same game?
Right.
And I was like, I'm in. It's sold. It's not. You don't even have to tell me about it, right? The reason why I wanted to pick it up is because one is the mashup was good, and of course, Musou fan. The other thing too, this was probably one of the last PS2 games printed. GameStop had one, remember? And I said, I want it. It was like, and I was just give it to me. I want it.
Actually, I could. Like, there are two major Musou titles that dropped that were like, the last, among the last PS2 games printed. That being Warriors Orochi and Dynasty Warriors 6 Special.
Yeah, I didn't even know they had 6, because remember I told you last time, I was like, they made 6 on the PS2, right? So I don't even remember the cover for that. It's probably the same as 3, but like but longer box, right?
Right. Semi-nerfed compared to, the PS3 and the 360, but it actually added in, the extra characters that were, technically supposed to be in, Dynasty Warriors 6 Extreme Legends. So you got the return of Cao Ren, you got the return of Yue Ying, you got the return of Ma Chao as selectable characters, as opposed to just selectable characters and actually having their own unique weapons.
So here's the other one that was announced. Let's see it in 5. as well. I honestly think if 1 and 2 do decent, they should do 3 and 4 and 5, right? And maybe lead up to a 6 release, right? So I think that'd be fun if they did this. Yeah, also tail end of Konami's lifespan. Also tail end of the series. Before these are all like late PS2 era games, and they're way more expensive because people are migrating over to the 3, right, and the Xbox 360. So,
yep,
kind of sad, but it is the reality of the business. So, all right, let's go to our last day. What we got here? All right, 3/22. Resident Evil came out on the PlayStation in 1996 in Japan, but like I said, I try to use the one that actually came out, which was called Biohazard in Japan. If you guys didn't know that, then I don't know what to tell you. That's that's how it's been. It's always been that way. Biohazard is Resident Evil in Japan. So, okay, well, quick story. My first experience playing this game was actually at a parent's friend's house. So they had a daughter named Frances, and I was friends with her, right? And she like had a Sega Genesis, and it was at her dad's. And so I was always like, "Oh, cool! I don't have a Sega. Let's play your Sega," And so my parents would visit their house, and I would like hang out with Frances, and we would play Sega together. And then apparently her dad, his name was like Uncle June, and then he bought a PlayStation, and I was like, "Whoa! I don't have a PlayStation. That's cool." And this is the first game he showed me. And I was like, "Whoa, man! This game's hard. This game's scary. I don't want to play this. What the heck?" And like you start off in the mansion floor, right, in the big like room, and then like you try to open the door and the dog comes out, right? And you remember that if you try to go back outside, the dog comes out, and you're like, "Oh shit!" And you're a kid, you're like, "Oh man, what do I do?" And the aiming was so hard in this game, like it was rough, man. And I didn't want to play it anymore after that. I didn't want to play it anymore. No more. What was your first stab at the Resident Evil Ace?
Oh, yeah, that same jump scare. It's like lumdy dumdy dum dog. And I'm like, oh well, this just went from bad to worse.
I mean, the game was pretty much jump scare the game, right? Like, and then the probably one of the first games that had like very very little resources for your character.
Yeah.
Right. So it taught me to be like more cautious with my inventory. Don't have the first one, but here's 2 for you, OG. So that's pretty cool.
And yeah, just like with Armored Core Nexus, those covers went hard.
They went pretty hard. And Resident Evil was pretty close to Biohazard. They had like their small differences, right? Like, but this one was the eyeball, and the first one had like the US version had Chris looking all goofy in the cover. Yeah. Remember that one? So yeah, it's kind of wacky. But all right, some other games that came out on the 22nd, and we'll call it done for today. Space Quest 3. The Pirates of Pestilon on the PC in 1989. And I don't know if I showed you this, Ace, but you saw it. You saw it in the thing, right? The little preview of the image. It's just so crazy looking. I don't think I can share it right now, but Star Trek Armada on the PC 2000 in the year 2000. Resident Evil remake on the GameCube. Wow, remakes were already coming out before the remake trend was happening, and GameCube started it first in 2002 in Japan. OG God of War on the PS2 in 2005, The Matrix Online on the PC in 2005, Message, Narc, Reboot, I don't know if remake, right, on the PS2 and Xbox in 2005, Crysis 2 came out on everything in 2011, Kid Icarus Uprising on the 3DS in 2012 in Japan, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice came out on everything in 2019, arguably the sequel to Tenchu, and Rise of the Ronin on the PS5 in 2024. That's another game I want to play also. So pretty solid day. You got the one that really stood out was the same Resident Evil game came out the same day in 2 different years
on
right?
2 different platforms.
Yeah, on 2 different platforms, and it was a remake. So I thought that was cute. Also, Narc showing up on this list. I played Narc, and is nothing like the OG Narc, right? It was more like a mini Grand Theft Auto, and you were playing as the cop. But it was technically a remake of the Narc arcade game, trying to make it more with a more narrative-driven story to it. So remakes were a thing; they're already happening, or reboots, I would say. Yeah, it's not new. It's been happening since 2005, 2002. So Nick wanted to talk about Matrix Online. I don't know what he was going to say about it, but I do know that it is canon to the movies. So spoiler alert, all right? Chad, I'm warning you. This is where Morpheus dies in this game. And I didn't know that until somebody told me, because we were talking about the new movie.
Oh.
And apparently Morpheus is canon, dies in Matrix Online, gets killed by the agent. So, yeah. And that's why he's not in the 4th movie, the new one that just came out. So,
that makes sense.
Yeah, super cool. Anyway, that is this week in gaming history.
I'll never get tired of that.
Dude, it's just so good. Like, it's got to be the drums or something, you know. It just get you going. If Randy Macho Man was here, he'd be like, oh yeah, that felt good. You know, that's what he would say. All right, so Nick's not here, but we're gonna cover quick bites real quick. We're gonna skip over the article, save those for him, but we'll run over quick bites, kind of give you guys an idea of what's happening here in the gaming news, and we can do it. Quick bites. Let's go. All right. So what we're talking about here, real quick, what Nick had lined up for us was 1, Lego is adding another franchise to its partnership Infinity Gauntlet, Pokemon. So you're gonna have Lego Pokemon pretty soon.
Word?
Yep, a multi-year deal was inked, and while we don't know yet, expect them to arrive in 2026. Talk about things that print money, Lego and Pokemon combined.
Yeah.
Right? All right.
That is.
Go ahead. You gonna say something?
I was just gonna say that's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's a good partnership. Like, you know. All right, Noel, next one's Fatal Fury City of the Wolves will have a second open beta test from March 26th to March 31st across all platforms. Keep an eye out for that. That's next week. Okay. All right.
Yep. And that one's actually going to have the training mode included. And that's also going to have T-Zoc on the roster, so it'll be 9 characters that you'll get the chance to run through with.
And secretly, the 10th character is training mode. Because everybody wanted that character. Oh, yeah. All right. Nick's nostalgia's brain is tingling with the announcement of Counter-Strike Legacy, a full standalone remake of Counter-Strike 1.6 is set to be released in 2025. It can face obstacles though, but it is built from the ground up in the official Source Engine SDK by experienced team. Maybe another Black Mesa situation?
Huh.
You know, with the I feel like Counter-Strike players will want to play new Counter-Strike on new hardware, right? And new like tech. But like, when was the last time you talked to somebody, Ace, and we're like, you know what? I play Counter-Strike. You know? Right? Think about that for a second.
It's been a hot minute.
It's been a hot minute, right? People are playing like the new like Marvel Rivals. They're playing like Rainbow Six Siege, right? There's Overwatch. There's all these like more robust, like popular titles. Like Counter-Strike just has no marketing whatsoever. So hopefully the crowd that does play Counter-Strike will appreciate that and love it, and they can provide their feedback to this team. Okay. Speaking of Counter-Strike, CS2 has once again broke all-time player peak record, hitting 1.82 million players. Wow. It's a lot of players.
Are you? What?
BitReactor and Respawn Entertainment officially announced they will be revealing their Star Wars game in April 2025, next month. Possibly a turn-based tactics game. Could be, but maybe not. So we'll see. What if it's like a new StarCraft-ish game, but Star Wars? That'd be sick, right? All right. Focus Entertainment has announced Warhammer 40K Space Marine 3 is officially in development. Concerning, because they had a whole roadmap for 2. I don't know if they're just going to be like, we're done with that, or going to focus on 3, right?
That's a good point.
Because the people did buy a season pass for that thing, including me, right? So, yeah, we'll see what it goes. Split Fiction is back in our feed today, hitting over 2 million copies sold in 1 week. Hazelight has announced they are already working on their next game. You know what? I think it's only 1 million copies sold, but they were forcing the other 1 million to play with them. That could be it, right? Yeah. So that's smart, right? Double your sales. All right, Spectre Divide 3v3 tactical shooter and its dev Mountaintop Studios will be taken offline in the next 30 days. Poor Mountaintop Studios. It had launched its closed beta on August 13th, had roughly 400k total players, in the first week, concurrent peak up to 20k in September, lack of capital, players, and revenue. Devs would experience some Naughty Dog, Respawn, Epic, and others. Who was from Mountaintop Studios. So once again, we don't have any money to keep this game going strikes again. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but this is why they charge you for skins, guys. Right? They got to keep those servers up, keep you guys enthralled. If it's not enough people, they're gonna take it down. Amazon's God of War show has 2 seasons in development, according to showrunner Ronald D. Moore. While he admits to not being much of a modern game player, he does have plenty of experience developing multi-season adaptations. All right, so I read this article earlier, right? How this guy got frustrated playing God of War, and he's like, you know what? I don't need to play this. So a lot of the comments were like, oh, great, another one of these guys. Right? Chat, Ace, I kind of want to know your thought on this. Real quick, my thought on it was, I don't think he needs to play the game. I think he just needs to understand how the story is conveyed through the game.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was thinking something similar. I mean, at first, my knee-jerk reaction was, oh, great, one of these guys. But then, I sat back and I thought, it's like, what if he at the very least, did his homework? What if someone on the cast, what if someone else on the cast had actually, sat down and played through the games? It's like a fan of the games. And, he just went, did his homework, checked out how the story was conveyed, the major story beats. And, what if at the very least, even though he doesn't play the games directly, he still, knows what he's talking about because he's at least, again, done his homework. He's read up on everything.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. You don't have to play the game, but you can watch a playthrough of the game. Put it in the background or have it capture those key integral moments, right? Mm-hmm. Because it is going to be important. And I don't know which God of War you're playing. It could be the reboot or the OG one. I'm thinking it's the reboot, right? Data War, if you miss the whole point of Atreus and Kratos relationship because you're not paying attention, that could just pile drive the show into a really bad place, right? Because people will call you out did you even play the game? You know what I'm saying? Or did you even know what this is about? Right? So that's the difficulty with that. Okay, so just do the homework, do some research. You don't have to play the game. We get it. Just have enough idea behind it. All right, next one. Scopely, the company behind Monopoly Go, has acquired Niantic's game business, which includes Pokemon Go, Pikmin Bloom, and Monster Hunter Now for $3.5 billion. That's a lot. That's a lot. So great. What am I going to say here? What a more appropriate company to buy those 3 games out. A company behind Monopoly.
Wow.
Anyway, what year is it? Postal 2, released back in 2003, about 22 years ago, is getting a full VR port. My gosh, why? According to what year it is, the video game company Fox announced their plan to revive the MMO Defiance and attempt to relaunch the IP this year. What is Defiance? Does anybody know what that is? That doesn't ring a bell. Not an MMO, at least. But let us know what that's all about. Speaking of the opposite of expectations, Sony has been shuttering games and some studios recently, but a new first-party studio called Dark Outlaw Games has been created, led by former COD Zombies lead Jason Blundell. Interesting. Dark Outlaw Games, led by the COD Zombies lead. Okay, so we're gonna get more games like what is that, like Killing Floor, right? Stuff like that. So maybe
Makes me wonder.
Yeah. Arc 2, where are you? That's been a lot of on fans' minds. It's also been almost 5 years since the title was announced, but it's still moving forward in development. The devs announced Arc Lost Colony, a new DLC for Survival Ascended that will release in 2025, feature the voice of Michelle Yeoh, and lead directly into the world of Arc 2. So they're probably prepping for Arc 2 to be released. Good. Michelle Yeoh and Vin Diesel, they're getting a lot of people on this thing, so this thing's making money. In case you missed it last week, because the news dropped right as we were getting for the pod, Blizzard announced that BlizzCon is skipping 2025, but will return in 2026. They're really hurting for money, huh? Okay.
Now, I remember the last time that E3 skipped a year.
Oh, yeah. And then we never got it back ever again. Oh, yeah. Shark Punch. I do remember it's coming back now. It was like a shooter that was like, wasn't it like made by EA? It had like an assault rifle on the cover, all futuristic, and it was supposed to have like specific character classes in it. And it's bringing me back to my Reset era. So yeah, I'll keep that in mind. All right, so I can already hear the game collectors vibrating on this one. A limited edition Sonic the Hedgehog 3 Genesis cart is being sold for almost, how much do you think, Ace? Real quick.
12,000.
Double that to 30,000 on eBay, and it was made to promote the recent Sonic 3 movie release, of which there were only 150 copies of this movie cart known to exist. Crazy. So the goal is to buy them all, and then you like quadruple each game. All right, the capitalist mentality. Initially given out exclusively to content creators, then as a prize for a giveaway. Yeah, they're not going to keep that. If it's worth 30 G's, they're gonna sell that. All right, let's take it home here to the rumor mill. Metroid Prime 4 fans may need to keep an eye on April 2nd. The Switch 2 Nintendo Direct drops that day, and a fresh rumor suggests the game will likely show up. From industry insider Reese Kiwi Talks Riley, an experienced game developer interview, he is saying that this will blow everything else in the Direct out of the water. What could it be? A new Fire Emblem? What's another like hot title for Nintendo should be dropping on us to get us hyped?
Let's see. Outside of
Fire Emblem, probably.
Smash,
but it's like, oh, that'd be crazy, but like very unlikely. Because Sakurai was like, "No, I'm tired." But that'd be wild, though.
An Odyssey level Donkey Kong.
Yo, Donkey Kong Universe.
That would be so cool.
Donkey Kong Universe would be dope. Oh, that's such a good idea. Yeah, Donkey Kong never got like the treatment of like the Odyssey, right? It always got like the side scroller.
Yeah, like the last. I think like one of the last big ones we got from Donkey Kong, wasn't it Tropical Freeze?
Yeah, Tropical Freeze, and then they remade the OG one on the 3DS, which I beat, by the way, and it's super fun. So play it when you guys can. Those games never get old. I still love those games. I'm playing like all these violent Marvel Rivals, Diablo, but Donkey Kong Country on the Switch, still good, good.
Yeah.
All right, rumors have been swirling around like crazy of a Resident Evil 9. Who will the protagonist be? Or is it's going to be a fully open world? Could be anything. But reputable leaker Aesthetic Gamer, aka Dust Golem, has potentially leaked new details on the project. RE9 is taking so long because it is a big reinvention of the series, a la RE4 and RE7. And we'll be trying new things. Also, it will likely be revealed this year. So thoughts on what RE9 is going to be like?
I feel like they're going to take a lot of the gameplay from like what they're probably going to do is make it like the best example I could think of would be, the Batman Arkham games, in particular how expansive and how robust Arkham City is. But imagine having the entirety of a location like Raccoon City to, run around and play through the narrative, or whatever the content for that hypothetical Resident Evil 9 is going to be.
Okay, I can see that.
So in other words, basically taking something like the expansiveness of Raccoon City and, making it, truly open world, like, say, Outbreak or Operation Raccoon City.
There you go. So the thing that I was thinking, first of all, has Raccoon City recovered from the Umbrella craziness over time?
An excellent question.
Okay, so like that's the first thing we should try to understand is where in the world is Raccoon City, because they're probably going to use Raccoon City again or some other fictional city, right, to for this setting. And I do agree, and you make up a good point, because if they're pushing in the big reinvention of the series, right, but don't want to go too far for it to be like, okay, this is not what we wanted, because they did that with Resident Evil 6, right? How would you feel if they either made an RE4, like over the shoulder camera, right? But it was Outbreak and it was multiplayer, right? Like, and then it's a bunch of characters on the big open world map. Maybe like, let's just say Ace, like we got to open the mission is to open this gate to access this power plant, right? But you have to go to like this portion of the city to activate something. Well, I have to be like on like the headset or like the radio with you to be like on another part to be like, yeah, I got to get the code. Like, what's the code say? And it's like a puzzle almost, right? But we're in different parts of the city,
And then there is one thing that they could very well do with that, as far as expanding the gameplay as well. Doesn't matter if they stick to one of the classic pro tags or introduce a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say that they might not have multiple playable characters, a la RE6, or perhaps, like the recent movies, like Dead Island?
Mm-hmm. I think the allure of having Leon back, Ada, Jill, right? They need to be in the game in some way or form. Of course, like people were excited Chris was there, right? But he wasn't really there, because your main character was a whole different person. But like what Andre said, maybe pull a DMC5. Maybe like we'll have a surprise. We'll have a new roster with surprise characters that'll come back. Like Virgil was teasing the whole game, and maybe we'll get like an Ada coming back or something like that, or a Wesker. That'd be crazy. Wesker comes back, right? But the idea of an Outbreak, right, with like Resident Evil 4-ish style gameplay, with a mixture of like survival horror still, like you need your companion to help you. I think that would be a good combination of like everything good about Resident Evil that we liked, but trying to try something new with it.
One of the 14 Wesker children.
Bro, like Jake 3, Jake 4. All right, but yeah, looking forward to that. I did see a leak earlier about RE9, and leak saying it was Leon and Ada were coming back in some way or form. So I don't know if that's true or not, but we'll see. All right, MinMax Ben Hansen revealed that Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet's approach to player freedom will be inspired by Elden Ring. Back in October, he had teased info on this influence, not naming the game directly until now. We will have to see what else has inspired the devs until now. But it offers an interesting rumor-esque view of the direction of the game. Okay, so Elden Ring, open exploration, great. It's not enough, but we're getting somewhere. All right, if you had to name out one of the most popular Nintendo controllers that lasted multiple generations, what would that be?
Definitely the Super NES controller.
Well, Smash Bros. Fans potentially rejoice as the new FCC filing suggests that a GameCube controller support may be coming to the Switch 2. The filing is labeled as B, matching the Switch 2's model, and is believed to be a wireless Bluetooth controller that doesn't have NFC functionality.
Huh.
Yeah, Smash Bros. Players, man, we're still catering to those guys. Details are scarce, but the Star Wars KOTOR remake appears to be still in development. Saber Interactive CCO Tim Willits, took to Twitter to say that every project Saber is currently working on is still in active development, which would include KOTOR. More updates will come when they are ready to share, but there is a glimmer of hope for you and fans alike. Now, we were talking about the Xbox handheld last week, but a new report from Tom Warren of The Verge suggests that the company Xbox working with is Asus, the company that makes the ROG Ally. All right, so that's interesting. So they may get a little bit of help from those guys. All right, and last of all, Sony Interactive Entertainment and People Can Fly co-devs of God of War, Gears of War, E-Day, and Bulletstorm have entered into agreement for a new game prototype based on a Sony IP. What do you think that is? So they made Gears of War, E-Day, and Bulletstorm, and a Sony IP. Could it be a new Killzone? Ooh.
I don't know why, but somewhere in the back of my mind, I was thinking Twisted Metal.
You know what, man? Here's what kids don't understand. We'll end this right here. Twisted Metal was the original BR. Prove me wrong. It's 100% the original Battle Royale. But kids don't know that because, you know, they played PUBG. But anyway, that was the quick bites for tonight. Thanks to Nick for the sources. He'll be back next week. No, 2 weeks from now because he's busy next week for more articles and news, and you'll miss his handsome face. Alrighty, guys. We're here. We're back. Are you guys ready to learn Take It to the Skies and bug out on Monster Hunter, the tech with the blazing, the ace, the Nelson? Let's go. What you got?
Okay, so we are right now chilling over in the training area. There's.
Do you have audio for this too?
Was
there always audio for this? I don't remember.
No, I don't think there was. I don't think there was audio.
Here we go.
There was the intro, but not like audio from the footage that I got up.
Yeah, we got you. Oh, we got audio for you, son. Let's go.
But here we go. So for the folks that are actually getting into Monster Hunter Wilds and who may not have been maining this weapon, the Insect Glaive could very much be considered one of, if not the most agile of the 14 weapon sets that are currently available. Give us the taunt, you cowards.
I'm ready for a new weapon, honestly.
But one of the great things about the training hall or about the training area, especially in Monster Hunter Wilds, is that once you get there, you'll see right there at the bottom of the screen that it's already going to showcase for you a couple of combos that are going to introduce you to the specific mechanics of that particular weapon that you are working with. The Insect Glaive, as is evident from the name, is not only your polearm weapon, but also.
Hold on, sir. Hold on. Can we zoom in on this glaive real quick? Give me 1 second here. I am freaking out. First of all, for the Ava fans out there, y'all know my man's holding the Spear of Longinus in Evangelion right now. This because here's the thing is I haven't touched the Insect Glaive yet, so I don't know what it looks like. I don't know the visual aesthetics of it. But first of all, which monster does that come from?
This is actually one of the Ardean Insect Glaives. So you don't get this specifically from a monster. This is from the end game. So let me go ahead and swap it out for something that's going to be a little bit more accessible to folks jumping into this as a. So
the Ardean weapons are. I know that you can get gear to build Ardean weapons, but they don't come from a specific monster, right? They're their own thing.
That is correct.
Okay, cool.
So let me go ahead and.
That's cool, man.
Let me go ahead and pull one of the other ones.
All I can see from this weapon is that thing piercing Asuka's Ava. PTSD already.
Okay.
Right, that's better.
Something a little more recognizable. But yeah, the Insect Glaive is a combination slashing and blunt weapon. Wow. So you've got attacks that will not only work to help sever monster parts, your basic triangle moves, which are part of the basic combo that they've got listed here. But the circle attacks are more often with the the secondary end, with the rear end of the glaive, which is more blunt weapon. Right. Ardean is from the ancients, is from the ancient civilization, because Monster Hunter as a series is a post-apocalypse series, much like God Eater. But the signature mechanic of the insect glaive is, of course, your insect companion, your kinsect. Now, what this can do is not only dish out additional damage, although in small amounts, but depending on what part of the monster you are aiming at, you see the crosshairs at the center of the screen, but also the little tag at the bottom of the crosshairs. You can pick up extracts or essence from various parts of the monster that you aim your kinsect at.
Yeah, that is such a good change of quality, because they didn't have that in the world.
Yeah, they didn't. But with that, you can basically get different buffs from the extracts. So let's say if you aim for the monster's head, you'll get the red extract, which, once absorbed, boosts your attack power. Going for the legs usually gets you the white extract, which buffs your movement speed and evasion. And for the defensive buff, which basically gives you like a little bit of flinch free, so you're not affected by a lot of attack impact, that's usually more towards the like the main body of the monster, like the torso. That's where you'll get the orange extract. If I can find a good spot to, there we go. Now, if you have any combination of two of those extracts, you get a further increase to your attack power, or whichever of the extracts you have at the time. But if you have all three simultaneously, as I do now, then not only does it give you a massive increase to your attack power, your movement, and your stability, but it also expands your moveset, giving you access to other moves and some of the most powerful that the insect glaive has to offer. But aside from using the kinsect to take extracts, you can actually follow the kinsect's example. Oh, by the way, green extracts, which are usually taken from like the tails of each monsters, that's health recovery. But like I was saying, your kinsect leads by example, and you can take to the air. Now, the strong jumping advancing slash, that move is only available when you have all three extracts. It used to be available when you had the red extract by itself, but now it's been moved back to only being available with all three. The main sort of gameplay flow that you want to stick to is combining your attacks with kinsect callouts, and basically, what's the word? Integrating your extracts, integrating extraction with your offense. So if you're between attacks, but the monster is like only moving and they're not committing to any sort of offense against you, you can pick a spot on the monster, do a little bit of damage, but also make sure you get that extract, so that way you can keep your kinsect boosts up at all times. With the focus strike system in Monster Hunter Wilds, you have an extra method of getting all of your kinsect boosts, if not getting them all at once, and that's with your focus strikes.
Cool.
If you've done enough damage to start highlighting wounds on monsters, then all you got to do is tap R1 while you're in focus mode. Boom. All three at once. So while your general gameplay flow should involve keeping your buffs active, the most efficient way to do so is going to be, through focus mode more often than not, but it's going to be utilizing your attacks and utilizing your combos to generate wounds, and then basically using the focus strike as your combo finisher once a wound is up to get yourself your buffs. And that right there is going to allow you to have more mobility and more offensive power while you're in midair, with, of course, the strong advancing jumping slash and a couple of additional moves that were added to the Insect Glaive. You know, like it shows on the powerful combo at the bottom. You've got, like, you can basically charge up an attack with your Insect Glaive for a longer combo. And of course, you know, you can do that with the red extract, but with all three, you get that extended version. And also, you get the Rising Spiral Slash.
That's the one I always see people do. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Now, the Rising Spiral Slash is, hands down, that's your moneymaker. That's the one where you want to end more of your combos with that after you've destroyed wounds and gotten your buffs. But what's more, a little something I forgot to show off earlier. Once you actually start landing hits and, of course, creating wounds. Oh, I forgot. This one is a sleep Insect Glaive. But one thing that you're going to want to keep an eye on is the simple fact that once you're airborne, you can use your focus strike mid-air and get your kinsect buffs. So you've got options while you're on the ground and while you're in midair.
I was going to ask you that. Can you do the focus strike while you're in the air?
Yep.
That's cool.
And on top of that, you also have the charged attack that you can use from the air. Now, us fighting game heads would know that for the charged attacks, it's always a good idea to buffer it during a different attack. So that powerful combo that it shows right there at the bottom, you can buffer and prep your attacks during other animations. But one other thing about the Rising Spiral Slash is that depending on how you land it, you get kinsect extracts back during that move, potentially restocking all three of your bonuses to create an endless feedback loop.
Cool.
So, you know, honestly, much like the dual blades, much like the sword and shield even, and heck, you know, for ranged characters, much like with the bow, your best offense is going to be your mobility. Like if you can continue to keep transitioning from your, not just from your standard attacks, but also to your heavy attacks, getting those kinsect buffs, sending out the bug, getting your stuff back when you need to, and also utilizing the different types of dust that your kinsects can actually output, like so.
In this case, it's sleep, right?
With that particular, it's actually based on the kinsect.
Okay. Oh, right. That's right. It's different.
So yeah, with the kinsect, with the one I've got, we've got poison.
Okay.
But my insect glaive is a sleep insect glaive, so you can stack multiple statuses depending on your loadout as well.
So what would you say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most like complex? Where does the insect glaive fall under?
Insect glaive, I would honestly say this falls closer to like a 6 or a 7 as far as complexity. And the main reason behind that is because not only do you have to manage your weapon, but you also have to manage your kinsect. You know, it's almost like managing ammunition or managing coatings with the bow. So it's definitely one of the more complex melee weapons. But if you can at the very least get the hang of utilizing your basic combos for damage, don't forget you can dodge cancel attack recovery, so you don't have to commit to every single strike. But aside from doing that, if you can manage that and just keep an eye on your kinsect boosts, you can still do plenty of damage and be really effective on the ground. And once you've had that time getting used to fighting on the ground and just utilizing your moves and getting used to actually using your focus strikes to get your boosts as well, you can eventually start integrating the mobility. Another mechanic that I need to tell you about once you're actually in the air, though, is that for each action you take in the air, your attacks get stronger up to 3 levels. It doesn't necessarily show it up here on the UI, but even vaulting into the air counts as your first aerial action. So if you want to optimize your damage, you can vault, do 2 attacks, or 2 of the jumping advancing slashes. And if you've got your kinsect boosts, you can finish it with the charged diving slash, or you can finish off with focus strike if you've got a wound lined up. So it's definitely an example of multi-dimensional gameplay that will take some time to pick up, but it'll take some time to master. But as far as picking it up, as far as basic insect glaive 101 strategies, you've got at least 2 combos that you can work with that'll help you get into utilizing your mobility and just working out that damage.
Do you think new players will have an easy time with insect glaive?
New players will have a somewhat difficult time with the insect glaive, so I would suggest, if nothing else, start working with the dual blades. If you start with the dual blades, you'll get used to the speed. You'll get used to more of the faster pacing of what you'll expect with the insect glaive, and then you can definitely jump back to the insect glaive and start experimenting with the mobility. I would say more often than not, though, for your 101 students, aside from those 2 combos, start practicing the vault. So that's going to be your right trigger and evade, basically. Get used to the evade, get used to the vaulting, get used to the mid-air evade. And then once you do, start weaving your attacks in. The more you spend time in the air, giving yourself a chance to actually avoid attacks, you'll be able to get a bird's eye view of the battlefield, and you will honestly be able to start working out your own vectors of approach and attack. Monster Hunter is definitely a game where, start with what you like. Play the weapons how you like. But there are certain techniques that are going to help you get used to using those weapons. And next week, I'll show you all what's up with the sword and shield.
All right. My choice. my preference, personally. It's kind of funny because, Sword and Shield was, kind of meh for me at first. But then I started playing it in this one, I guess, with the new focus attacks and all the extra moves. It's just better.
Yep, and it's certainly a good starter. If you don't mind giving me just a second, I need to go. Let's go ahead and end this segment, but I also need to take a quick bathroom break. So,
all right, bio break. All right, chat. What up? That was the tech with your boy Blazing Ace Nelson.
Yeah, that makes sense.
IG does more damage on ground. No shared. Well, here's the thing: shared chat is because we're not streaming specifically on on Twitch, we're doing on Restream, right? We're like distributing it to all three different the feed to all three different channels. So our shared chats is I can do the shared chat, but unfortunately you guys can't. So we'll get that worked out or figured out. But yeah, that's the tech. But what are you guys doing for Monster Hunter? What weapons are you guys using? I personally use Sword and Shield, and then if I want to do heavier damage, I do the Charge Blade, which is kind of funny because it's still a Sword and Shield. But if I want to change it up, I do the Longsword. So, but I've been trying to learn more guns, but I feel guns are very two-dimensional. Great sword is love, great sword is life. Only the real men use great sword. Definitely patience on that, but boy, satisfying hits always with the great sword. I love it. Love it, love it. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. We didn't show this to you guys this week, so let's show that. The tech strategy. Cool. All right, so I mean, I know I'm playing Monster Hunter. I'm still continuing my A to Z gaming challenge. Ace is playing First Ascendant along with Monster Hunter as well. And a few of us here in chat are playing Marvel Rivals here and there. So what else is everybody playing today? And also, what are you looking forward to playing in the next couple months? I'll go first. Hey, you know what? This week, first Berserker Kazan is probably going to go on my to play list because man, the demo was very impressive. I really liked it. And it's just one of those cocktails of like good character design, good gameplay, and like it's got an established world that I was already introduced to, which was Dungeon Fighter. And those three things, I was like, I'm in. It's good for me. So with that said, a couple questions. What are you planning on playing next that's not out yet? And two, what other instances where it's just like first Berserker Kazan that made you want to play this game without even like second guessing because of its established kind of nature? You played the demo of it and you just like the way it looks.
Well, as far as what I'm looking forward to that's coming up over the next couple months, or actually in the next couple days, we've got, of course, Atelier Yumiya, and also the Switch release of Xenoblade Chronicles Cross.
Thanks. That's got to go in my collection also. I'm actually shocked that it did not have like a collector's edition. Shocked. But it is like a remake, right? Or not remake, a remaster. So
yeah. But let's see. There's those. And as far as, what else I've been playing recently, again, I've been jumping back into Final Fantasy VII, and I'm like, I want to get back into Final Fantasy VIII again and, start playing using the Junction 8 mod. But with Junction 8, I believe they've got the voiceover for the game all the way up through, I think they said through Timber.
Okay, so it's still not done, but it's there.
Yeah, it's not done, but it's definitely there.
Okay. I mean, better than nothing is all I'm saying, right? Plus, I think it's cool to like play it through a point, and then you can kind of just take a break, and then when they're done, go back to it again. So you're not burning yourself out. Because I know I'll be burning myself out playing all the Mass Effect games on the next gaming challenge. I don't know when that's happening. Honestly, like I'm considering taking, I don't know if it's a week, maybe like 3 days off, maybe like a Wednesday through Monday, right, to play Mass Effect and just like 24/7, not 24/7, but like stream it like 8-10 hours a day, right? And just blow through the game, and people would be like, man, what are you doing it wrong? I know, I can see that coming already. I can see it coming, but I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Yeah, and then man, okay, I'm gonna pull up April releases, and then maybe into May, June. Because there's always a lot happening. Oh, sorry, May, a big month for April. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 is coming out. Definitely want to play that. Garo City of the Wolves going to be playing that too, right? So there's games in April as well. Let's look this up. Okay, so a new Katamari in the Apple Arcade, if that's your thing. Is anybody here interested in South of Midnight? That's like the narrative game on like the Xbox and PC based on like the South, I think. or like in New Orleans?
I've seen some stuff about South of Midnight, and I'm kind of intrigued. It's not quite on my radar, but
Yeah. It's honestly, I think you should get Game Pass. You'll get so many games to stream from that. Like, it's crazy. It's probably worth it, honestly. Like, I think what is it, like 50 a month? I can't remember, but for all the stuff that they're releasing is great. What else I got here? Lunar Remastered Collection. That's a good one to add to your collection. Sweet.
yes.
All right. Fatal Fury, of course. Oh, Days Gone getting remastered. I don't know if anybody's played Days Gone, but it's coming back. A title that I would never thought of seeing on the PlayStation, Forza Horizon 5 on April 29th. That's crazy. The console wars are over, kids. Console wars are over. Yeah. In May, of course, Andre and I are already talking about Doom the Dark Ages. I will be showing that collector's edition on chat or on stream for you guys. Revenge of the Savage Planet. If you guys played the Savage Planet one, that was pretty cool. Capcom Fighting Game Collection, May 16th, guys. I think that's a fight night right there. That's pretty cool. Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. Ninja Turtles Tactical Takedown. That sounds interesting. All right. May 23th, Onimusha 2, Samurai Destiny. Sweet. All right. Lost Souls Aside was the game I was looking for on May 30th. Gonna be playing that for sure. I just hope it's good because they've been hyping it up for the longest time. This game was announced like when Final Fantasy 15 was released. You know, because there was a parallel between Noctis and the character design of this game.
Yeah.
Elden Ring Night Rain. I think a few of my friends want to play that together. That's going to be like their Monster Hunter. I know some people are not going to play Monster Hunter, but they want to play Night Rain and vice versa. We got is Inazuma 11? Is that like a soccer game but like anime?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. It's kind of like Captain Tsubasa, whatever.
Tsubasa?
Yeah, I love that. You know what? Here's the thing. Captain Tsubasa just reminded me of like, remember World Cup on the Nintendo?
I played that extensively.
Yeah, that was Super Dodgeball. Those
World
were my
Cup,
games,
Super Dodgeball, and Super Spike Volleyball.
Yeah, the Ricky Kineo series, like those sports games are so cool. A new Friday Night at Freddy's, great. Death Stranding 2, I know Shark Punch quoted that. That's going to be an interesting one for sure. July, we'll have Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4. That's right up my alley. I love that. But the August after the summer is usually when it starts getting good because summer usually is a lull because they want kids to go outside. Back in the day, I don't know if it's changed now, right? But August for me, Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba: The Hitokami Chronicles 2, which means I finished the first one on stream. This one's going to be played on stream also. It's the sequel to that. It's going to be great. Metal Gear on the 28th, Snake Eater on the 28th. But here's the game in August that needs to be seen. Shinobi Art of Vengeance, August 29th.
Oh, that's coming out in August?
Yep, that's coming out the day after Metal Gear. Holy shit. Oh. No one's going to be playing that. Well, they are. It's not a full price title, so I'm pretty sure though people will buy it. I
seriously thought it was going to be coming out later, like closer to end of the year, if not 2026.
Probably thinking of Ninja Gaiden, not Shinobi. Maybe. I don't know. Hell is Us on September 4th. Terminator 2D No Fate comes out September 5th. That's actually a game that I'm actually really interested in playing. Borderlands 4, whatever. Like, I have no hype for that game. I'm kind of over it, to be honest with you. Directive 8020, a Dark Pictures game. They're still making those, huh? I thought they were done. Oh. That's cool.
Well, no, I think the Dark Pictures was supposed to be a trilogy.
Yeah, I played all of them. Well, I haven't played the last one, but no, there's 4 of them now. There's Little Hope, right? There's the one before that, the Man of Medan, and then there's like the Devil's something.
Yeah,
Devil's Within, and then there's one where they're like in the desert that I just played last year, and because the Devil Within is like the one in like you're in the hotel, right? So there's 4 already. So this is gonna be the 5th one, not including the Quarry, and not including the what is the other one? Until Dawn. But the game that's coming out in October that I'm looking forward to is Double Dragon Revive. Not sure why it's taking so long to come out because it's not a AAA title, but hopefully with this amount of time they're taking, it's going to be good because I want those games to be good. It just has to feel good, especially how good Gaiden was. They have like really, really got to make this good.
Speaking of Gaiden,
yes,
they got 2 more characters coming out for it.
No way. Okay, hold on. Pause. Please don't tell me it's Bammy and Jammy.
No.
Okay.
No, actually, I think, yeah, one of the characters is Jeff.
Who the hell is Jeff? Is he the 4th Dragon Brother?
Technically.
Jeff Lee?
Hold on, because I was looking it up the other day too. Let's see.
No way, you're right. It is. There is a Jeff Lee. I was joking. He's a bad guy, though. He wears green.
He's pretty much a bad guy, but yeah, they're gonna be adding him and another big bruiser dude. Oh, here we go. Here's the Gamatsu article.
Oh yeah,
Jeff
I see it.
Bore.
Oh, Bore was the guy in 2 that looked like Arnold.
Yep.
Look, yeah, you see it, Double Dragon 2? Do you have a sprite of him? I'll show you. Chat.
I don't have a sprite of him, but let me go ahead and pull this up for the chat really fast. I'm gonna post it through my Twitch chat, but I've got the article. Bam.
Here you go, chat. Check this out.
Right there.
This is a Bore.
Yeah, him.
Yeah, I always call him Terminator. That was a Bore. Yeah, he's coming back in Gaiden. No, that's cool. Like what a reach. That's amazing.
Right? They're pulling some deep cuts out of this.
And apparently this is what he looks like in 1. I didn't know this was him. So he was like one of like the last guys to be a thing. But yeah, a Bore, that's cool.
Oh, that dude always.
Oh, I guess he's like a boss and you kill him, he becomes like a good guy. Is that how it works?
Mm-hmm.
Also, props for them to like keep coming back with more characters supporting this game. And this is why I mean, like, here's the thing. This game has the formula of a Double Dragon game, and then they expand on it, right? They're not looking for gimmicks or anything like that. It's legit Double Dragon game and its own thing. It's modernized in a way that it's still Double Dragon. This is why I'm kind of worried about Revive. Because if Wonder going 3D, which the last 3D Double Dragon game was like on the 360, right? Like the co-op one.
Mm-hmm.
And
the last 3D game was Neon.
Right, yeah. That one was fun. The combat was kind of jank though, in my opinion, and in comparison to Gaiden, right? It was like its own thing. Like you could only grab them when they were stunned. It was really weird, you know? Mm-hmm. But like I don't know. Gaiden has it right, and I think it's because of the whole like Ninja Turtles did it right too. Hopefully the GI Joe one's good. Like hopefully
Ninja
we're getting
Turtles did it right. Streets of Rage did it right.
Yeah, and here's what would be the next game that's a beat 'em up that we want to see Revive Days. Since we're on the topic of, don't say Battletoads. It already happened.
The Simpsons.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You're right. Okay, but we probably won't get that.
Probably won't, especially considering Disney.
So let's. I got it. Ready? Final Fight needs to come back from Capcom.
Well, yeah, that's the no-brainer.
Yeah, but like they got to do it right. We can't get another Streetwise 2 up in here. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just not the Final Fight spirit, Or hey, I would love it if they release this Knights of the Round 2.
Oh,
see what I'm saying? They have a whole ass catalog of beat 'em ups.
Knights of the Round, AVP, the Dungeons and Dragons games.
Bro, I was thinking of Dungeons and Dragons, right? Then I was like, how would they modernize this in a way? And I was like, what if they made a beat 'em up? Ready? Lord of the Rings. bro.
Okay.
Gimli, Legolas.
Now listen, beat 'em up Lord of the Rings, or again, a revival of Tower of Doom and Shadow of Mistara.
Yeah, which you can get still, bless, right?
But lean more into the multiple paths, multiple endings, like with Guardian Heroes.
So what you're saying is they need to make King of the Dragons 2. There it is again. King of the Dragons 2, because that way they'll have their own IP, right? They don't have to work with other companies like I almost said TSR. They don't belong to TSR anymore. It's Hasbro, or Wow, Wizards of the Coast. But chat, check it out, man. We got lots of going on here. See, we're still generating new ideas, and hopefully, if these guys that are making these games ever stumble upon our show. And if you share our show on their socials, they may get an idea and they may like what we have to say. So you never know. Like with the link that you shared earlier, if that gets wind, Super Smash.tv is a game. They owe Ace some money. You know what I mean? Like he needs to be up in there, like talking to the devs, be like, all right, this is what's hot. This is how we do it. Right. Keeping the spirit of the game. And then that would be cool. Like that would be the next level of game design when they start inviting streamers and like people that actually like love and play this game over history of time to help develop new games, because it will help sell games. And I think, and I honestly believe, streamers help sell games more than they stop buying games, right? Because like, I'll give you an example. I'm playing a super mid game called Werewolf the Apocalypse, right? And I think it's okay. Andre said, hey, he's thinking about playing it because I'm playing it, right? And I told him, yeah, he could. Yeah, I understand. It's pretty fun. Don't spend full price on it. He's still gonna buy it, right? Even though it's not full price. But the point is, he wants to make the purchase because a streamer was playing it and they're having a good time and they want to experience it for themselves. And I think
ages.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. And I think that's the future of marketing, is not to like grift, but like to watch actively passionate people play their games like Ace, right? And then be like, oh wow, I never thought about it this way because he's playing it from a different perspective than I am, right? So I think that's important in today's like, consumer market, right? So, but yeah, it's not like 1997 where you're at home reading your Game Pro, right? And you're walking to an arcade and all of a sudden you hear, just kidding. Not that one.
For your home in 1995.
Yeah, that one from a KI machine, right? So, or when you're like, hey, like your mom tells you to go throw out the trash while playing Street Fighter, right? And you go like this on the Super Nintendo.
God, right? I love that posture.
Yeah, I love that. I love that too because it's unique to that thing, right? So, I made Andre play Dark Descent. Hey man, that game's great. That game's hard as hell though. But I like it because it's very Aliens, right? But anyway, let's bring it to a close here. It's been fun chatties. What do we got on the docket? Ace, is there anything else you got to add?
Not much other than hey, for the folks that are picking up the games coming out this week, we're definitely looking forward to chatting about them with y'all on the next session, or at the very least in any upcoming streams that we may have.
For sure. And that's kind of like the whole, like I said, that's the whole point of our stream, right? We want to make sure that we're still all gamers here. We're not grifting on anybody. We don't have sponsors. I mean, we could throw them on there, but it's not going to be the spirit of the show. And that's kind of like the whole point here, is we want to keep this gamer related, context related, right? We're not here to talk about the drama. We're here to celebrate the things that we love, right, and more. So, and speaking of celebration music, I really like this tune to end the stream.
Yeah.
So, I would like to say, chat, that's another wrap for another class at the Gaming Academy. Welcome. We've covered some wild gaming history, broke down those nostalgic retro ads, and got some expert monster hunting tips from the Blazing, the Ace, the Nelson. Huge shout out to everyone who turned in live. Your energy keeps this class going, because I know when I was in school, I fell asleep in class a lot. Nick, hope you feel better, because we're looking forward to coming back. But also, if you had fun, don't forget forget to hit that follow, that like, or that subscribe button, whether you're watching, and let us know in the comments what games or topics you want us to tackle next, because we open feedback. We love talking about the stuff that you like, especially Shadow Man. I brought it back in there. But otherwise, we'll be back next time with more gaming goodness. But until then, keep playing, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next class. And go play Mario Brothers 3. Because I don't know why I thought about Mario Brothers 3. Not this song, which is Mario Brothers 3 in general. All right, chat. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Class dismissed.